You know, our planet is trying to tell us something. We're pushing right up against its limits, and that's forcing us to think about where we go next, where we build our future. But what's the right direction? Do we dig down deep? Do we build higher up? Or do we head out into the great unknown? Let's take a look at the challenges we're facing and some of the incredible and kind of wild new frontiers that might just hold the answers.
7. This number, it's not just a number. It is a massive warning sign. It represents a threshold, a line in the sand for our planet's stable, life-supporting systems that we were never supposed to cross. And yet, here we are.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What happens when the very systems that have kept human civilization humming for thousands of years start to break down? What does that future even look like? And what on earth are our options?
Okay, so what you're seeing here is a visual for a huge scientific idea called the 9 planetary boundaries. Think of them as Earth's vital signs. And here's the kicker. A recent scientific review just confirmed a pretty startling reality. We have now officially breached 7 of them. We've pushed our planet's life support systems squarely into the danger zone.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with those warning signs, then look at why our old solutions are running out of steam. From there, we'll dive into 2 pretty radical new frontiers, digging down into the Earth and building out into space. We'll also have to face a pretty messy consequence of our expansion, and then finally, we'll see how we can start designing a smarter, more responsible future.
All right, first up, let's really understand this diagnosis. Crossing these planetary boundaries isn't some problem for our grandkids to solve. It's happening right now, and it's already having some serious consequences for all of us.
So these 7 breached boundaries, they include the big ones you've heard of, like climate change and biosphere integrity. But now, for the first time ever, ocean acidification has joined that list. Since the Industrial Revolution, the ocean's acidity has jumped by 30 to 40%. That change is a huge threat to everything from those beautiful coral reefs we all love to the tiny sea snails at the very bottom of the entire marine food web.
So, how did we even get here? Well, for centuries, whenever we needed more space, we basically had 2 moves: build up or build out. But the thing is, those very solutions are now becoming a huge part of the problem.
Just think about it. We build up with skyscrapers and we create these urban heat islands that need a ton of energy to cool. We build out with urban sprawl and we just pave over precious ecosystems and farmland. And now there's this whole other pressure, our digital world. By 2030, data centers alone could be eating up 9% of all electricity in the US. Yeah, our old ways are hitting a major wall.
This kind of pressure forces us to think way outside the box. Which brings us to our first potential new frontier. What if, instead of always building up, we started building down? I want you to meet the Earthscraper. It's exactly what it sounds like, an inverted skyscraper. It's a whole city ecosystem built deep into the ground. There was this amazing proposal for Mexico City that imagined a 65-story inverted pyramid, keeping the historic city square right there on the surface, while creating all this new space for homes and shops just below. The advantages here are actually huge. When you build down, the Earth itself acts as natural insulation. That could slash your heating and cooling energy needs by up to 80% compared to a regular skyscraper. It means we could build dense cities without destroying historic skylines or paving over the last of our green spaces. But hey, maybe down isn't the only answer. Let's do a complete 180 and look up. What if the second radical alternative is to move our most critical infrastructure into the final frontier, space?
Think back to those super resource-hungry data centers. Well, in space, you've got access to constant, limitless solar power. You don't need millions of gallons of water to keep them cool, and by processing data right up there in orbit, we could skip Earth's internet traffic jams and just send back the really important, condensed insights.
And then you have the ultimate security plan. I love this quote. It talks about making the moon humanity's backup drive. Just think about that. Data stored on the moon would be totally safe from any disaster here on Earth. Wars, cyber attacks, you name it. It would preserve our most important knowledge for generations.
So here are our 2 powerful but very different solutions. Earthscrapers offer incredible energy savings, but they come with huge upfront digging costs and, the psychological hurdle of living underground. Space, on the other hand, offers ultimate security and energy, but you're facing insane launch costs and the dangers of radiation. Every path has its trade-offs.
But our journey to the stars, well, it hasn't been a clean one. Before we get too excited about building our future in space,
We really have to confront the mess we've already made up there.
Because while we've been so focused on reaching for the future, we've been leaving behind a trail of the past. And that trail is now becoming a pretty significant threat.
We're talking about orbital debris, or as most of us call it, space junk. This stuff is the leftovers from over 60 years in space. We're talking dead satellites, old rocket stages, even tiny flecks of paint from collisions. Pretty much everything we've ever left up there is still up there.
The scale of this problem is just staggering. There are over 100 million pieces of debris larger than a millimeter orbiting Earth. That's more than 9,000 metric tons of junk. But the real danger isn't the weight, it's the speed. This debris is traveling at over 10 times the speed of a bullet, which turns even a tiny fleck of paint into a weapon. So if we're actually going to build a new future, whether it's deep in the Earth or high up in space, we have to learn from our mistakes. We have to start engineering the solutions, not just creating more problems.
The very first and most important step is to stop making the problem worse. There are now international guidelines that push for designing spacecraft that won't explode and for moving old satellites into lower orbits so they burn up faster. But just preventing new junk isn't enough. We have to start actively cleaning up the mess we've made.
And this is a brilliant example of how we can do that. Companies like Astroscale are coming up with amazing ideas, like a universal docking plate. The concept is simple. You build this plate into new satellites right from the start. It basically acts as a handle, so a cleanup spacecraft can grab it at the end of its life and safely pull it out of orbit. It is literally sustainability by design. Which leaves us with this one last thought. We are on the verge of developing some truly incredible solutions to humanity's biggest challenges. We absolutely have the ingenuity to build down into the Earth and out into the stars. The real question is, do we have the wisdom to do it without just creating a whole new set of problems for the generations that will follow us?